Hey everybody, what's up and welcome back to Macabre'Gorium Labs presents a showcase of things likely forgotten. My name is Bats and I hope you'll join me today as we talk about today's topic, the puzzling origins of the Rubik's Cube. Can you meet the challenge? The beginning of the Rubik's Cube can actually be traced all the way back to the year 1970. This is when Larry Nichols would invent a 2x2x2 puzzle cube with pieces rotatable in groups. Nichols' cube was held together with magnets. He would receive his patent on April 11th, 1972, a full 2 years before the actual name-brand Rubik's Cube would come out. Frank Fox would also apply for a patent for a sliding puzzle that was used in a game called Tic-Tac-Toe. I just read the scripts. But in case you were unsure, this is Tic-Tac-Toe.
Especially since I'm about to win.
Fox would receive his patent on January 16th of 1974. While this was going on, Erno Rubik was working at the Department of Interior Design at the Academy of Applied Arts and Crafts in Budapest, Hungary. Rubik didn't actually invent the cube to be a toy. Instead, he used it as a teaching tool. It was said that he used the cube to help his students visualize three-dimensional geometry. However, what he really used it for was to solve the structural problem moving parts independently without the cube falling apart.
Now, our research found that Rubik didn't even know he had invented a puzzle.
That's right, Goat. But he figured it out as soon as he mixed up the colored sides and then tried to put the cube's colors back, having solid colors on each side. Upon realizing he had created a puzzle, Rubik would seek to patent his idea, and he would finally receive his patent on January 30th of 1975 in Hungary for the Magic Cube. That's right, in case you didn't pick up on it, the Rubik's Cube was originally called the Magic Cube. With the patent in place, the first test batches of the Magic Cube were produced in late 1977 and put into toy shops in Budapest. The Magic Cube was then licensed by Mr. Rubik to be sold by Pentangle Puzzles in the UK in 1978. Then later, in February of 1979, during the Nuremberg Toy Fair in Germany, businessman Tibor Loxi took the cube with Rubik's permission in an attempt to popularize it. The Seven Towns Toy and Game Company founder Tom Kramer saw the Magic Cube and signed a deal with Ideal Toys in September of 1979 to get the Magic Cubes on shelves worldwide. However, Ideal Toys wanted a name to trademark that could be recognizable in the marketplace. At that point, the Magic Cube was then renamed to the Rubik's Cube as of 1980. Now that we have some backstory on this puzzle, let's take a look at what it actually looked like, as if we didn't already know. The cube itself is a 3x3x3 cube that has plastic pieces that interlock so that the cube won't fall apart, which was an improvement on Nichols' magnet cube design. The original Rubik's Cube is 5.6 centimeters on each side. The puzzle toy has 26 mini cubes that are called either cubies or cubelets. As you can see, the center cubie on each side was attached to the core mechanism. This would be used to provide structure and build the other cubies around it. A single core piece has 21 pieces consisting of 3 intersecting axes that hold the 6 center squares in place while allowing them the ability to rotate. The center pieces would then pivot on a fastener called a 3D cross. This core would be surrounded by 20 smaller plastic pieces that fit into the core to finish forming the Rubik's Cube. The internal mechanism allows each layer to turn independently instead of all at once. Turning these layers will mix up the colors with the player having to turn the layers until the cube is back to one solid color per side.
And we all know how much fun that is.
The original Rubik's Cube had stickers on each side of the 9 squares per side to form one solid color on each side, either white, red, blue, orange, green, or yellow. But it is worth noting that since 1988, the colors on each side of the cube were normalized, so each cube would have the same difficulty in solving it. This would also allow players to coordinate strategies with other players in order to find funner, faster ways to solve the cube's puzzles. The cube would have white opposite yellow, blue opposite green, and orange opposite red. In addition to standardizing the colors would also have red, white, and blue sides arranged clockwise. Because the center squares don't move, it is not possible to alter which color goes on each side for a correctly solved puzzle. That is basically the idea behind the Rubik's Cube. However, there is a ton of permutations, math, and algorithms that determine how the Rubik's Cube actually works. There are so many variations of the Rubik's Cube it would be too many to list here. However, some popular Rubik's Cube's variations were the 2x2x2 pocket mini cube that consists of 8 pieces that are all corners, the 4x4x4 Rubik's Revenge / Master Cube, which consists of 16 pieces per side, and that was originally called the Sebastiani Cube from inventor Peter Sebastiani. At the last minute it was changed to Rubiks to attract Rubik's Cube fans. It was a special cube as the center cubes could move, unlike the original Rubik's Cube. Then there was the 5x5x5 Professor's Cube, and it would consist of 25 pieces per side. This cube was able to be solved using some of the 3x3x3 and 4x4x4 cube solving techniques. Over the years, companies have produced mini puzzle-type toys based on the original Rubik's Cube design, such as twisty puzzles that include a cube and various geometric shapes like triangles and pyramids, a Pyraminx tetrahedron puzzle, which is basically a triangular pyramid, a Skewb diamond octahedron, which has 14 movable pieces with a possible 138,240 combinations, a Dogic icosahedron, a 3-dimensional one that has 20 faces, similar to a 20-sided dice. In addition to these, there was a Rubik's snake, also called a Rubik's twist. This one has 24 separate wedges that you can twist and contort into many geometric shapes. And the Square One cube that started out as a cube, but it could actually be twisted like the Lament configuration from the Hellraiser franchise. One of my personal favorites, if not my personal favorite.
The box. You opened it. We came.
It's just a puzzle box!
Besides the familiar shape, there are other Rubik's toys like the Rubik's Race, Rubik's Roll, Rubik's Gridlock, and Rubik's Snake, just to name a very few. With Rubik's being so popular, there are a lot of companies that have made similar cubes, but official Rubik's is usually the best way to go. Here in 2025, Rubik's has evolved, and after 50 years, Rubik's came out with the Rubik's Sensory Cube for blind people to be able to enjoy the fun too. That's freaking cool! Rubiks has also had a ton of merchandise, including board games, t-shirts, stickers, keychains, and even a year 2000 PC Windows puzzle game called Rubik's Cube Challenge. Most of the merchandise can be found on sites like Amazon, eBay, and Poshmark for varying prices per item. Rubik's Cube also got its own animated series with Rubik the Amazing Cube, and we might cover that one later on if this video gets enough traction. The Rubik's Cube has always promoted creativity, intelligence, and perseverance. They wanted to challenge people to think in different ways to solve the geometric puzzles. No matter how frustrating it is, you just can't put it down and never play it again. Although one nice thing is, in today's times we have the internet, and this has enabled Rubik's fans from around the world to connect with each other and share their Rubik stories and help others solve their cubes, and even racing others to see who can solve their cubes faster.
Now, being a kid of the 80s and 90s, I, of course, had several Rubik's products. There was one time that I'd been trying to solve my cube for months, so after a lot of frustrations, I tried to fix it. I simply pulled off the stickers and put them back on in a solved position. Now, I didn't know about the colors being arranged a certain way, so I'm sure that was part of the problem when I mixed them up again and couldn't solve it.
When I was a kid, pretty much everybody had some variation of the Rubik's Cube because it was a staple of growing up in the early 1980s. And they were a lot of fun, and more often than not, we'd just end up throwing them at each other or getting too frustrated over the puzzle. But now you know what I think. I've just gotta ask. Did you ever have an original Rubik's Cube? If so, what was your favorite Rubik's product? Were you ever able to solve it? And what was the longest time it took you to solve your Rubik's Cube? And if not, what was your favorite childhood toy, show, movie, snack, or other memory? Did we forget anything, get something wrong, or leave something out? Do you have a suggestion for a future video, or maybe you just want to drop in and say hi? Either way, head on down to the comments section, because as usual, we look forward to hearing from you. And with that, unfortunately, we've come to the end of another Macabre'Gorium Labs showcase of things likely forgotten. As usual, I've been your host, Bats, and I hope you had a good time today as we took a look at today's topic, the puzzling origins of the Rubik's Cube. Can you meet the challenge? Be sure to check back next time because you never know what we have in store. And as usual, think for yourselves, be excellent to each other, and keep it creepy. See you in the next one. I'm not solving that cube. Hey, thanks for checking out our video. If you enjoyed this one and would like to see more of our weird, creepy, odd, eccentric, or strange content as soon as it comes out, please feel free to click like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more. We'll see you later. Keep it creepy.